Beyond.
Beyond!
Welcome to episode 61 of Podcast Beyond.
Beyond!
City One!
I am your host, Chris Roper, editor-in-chief of the IGN PlayStation team. With us today is Greg Miller.
Yo!
Jeff Haynes.
What's crack-a-leckin'?
And no Ryan Clements.
What?
Ryan is not here. He's at the dentist or doctor getting some
He has more doctor's
facial
appointments
surgery.
than anyone else in this entire office.
kidding.
Who knows what's happened. But we do have a fourth person here in the
Fourth
room
horseman.
to fill in for Ryan. We have with us Chuck Beaver, senior producer on Dead Space.
Hi, how's it going? I'm from Beyond down south.
Beyond! So we will come back and we'll talk to Dead Space talk with Chuck about Dead Space in a little bit, but he will be here the entire show, so feel free to chime in on anything that you want to.
We say Beyond a lot.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
Since Ryan's not here, you need to be
I gotta be
quiet and not opinionated.
Really?
Just go.
This may not go well.
Well, I agree with what everybody just said. I have nothing to add to the conversation.
And apologize
It's
a
so
lot?
true.
Yeah, it's cheap to apologize
Yeah.
once in a while. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
You just punched me.
Damn it.
All right, let's get right into the show with the Roper Report.
Time for some news.
So lots of release date announcements this week. One thing that's kind of cool, I guess, we'll have to see how it turns out, is that Punisher No Mercy, I guess the subtitle, is coming to the PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
It's a first-person shooter using the Unreal Engine,
Yeah.
coming exclusively
really?
to the PSN. There you go. So
Zen Studios, the brilliant minds behind Rocky and Bullwinkle on XBLA and Pinball FX.
is there any sort of release date for this thing yet?
No, there's not. It's arena-based multiplayer. There is going to be a single-player stuff you can do.
And there will be trophies.
There will be trophies. They confirmed, yeah.
Yeah, so that's coming. It was officially announced that Little Big Planet is officially October 21st. Everybody kind of knew that, but, we're all very happy about that.
Nice.
Mirror's Edge is November 11th, which is cool. Prince of Persia is December 2nd. That's all very good. Puzzle Quest and Cube are downloadable for the PSP off of the PC store.
Very nice.
So if you haven't bought Puzzle Quest, definitely
Do
do that and check out Cube. And then finally, the Batman has cometh
Batman.
to all systems, but there is a
Commissioner Gordon.
special PS2 bundle out in stores now. 150 bones gets you Lego Batman, the PS2. Obviously, if you don't have a PS2 by these days, what is
I've been
wrong
thinking
with
about
you?
picking up a PS2.
Yeah,
A spare?
No, my first.
Really?
I've never owned a PS2.
What?
Of course, it's not my first. God, Jeff.
but so $150 gets you the PS2, DualShock 2, Lego Batman, and Justice League: The New Frontier on
Oh.
DVD. So
Wow.
I've never seen that. I don't know
That's
if it's any
sweet.
good, but yeah, it's a
Beyond, actually.
yeah,
Beyond!
It's a cool little bundle.
That's
so.
going to be too much fun. All right.
Now keep it up. Greg, what hit stores this week?
Well, thanks to the official IGN list of upcoming software, I'm kind of hungover today.
Oh,
The
Where's
official
the
list
A-game?
of
Not
upcoming
feeling
PlayStation
well.
software on all three platforms by the IGN editors.
No, you don't even get a sound effect for that.
Oh, really? Oh, word? My bird.
That's your C game, man. Come on.
Dude.
Step it up. We got a guest in the
I got
studio.
friends in town from college, and I'm living like college again. It's rough. I was much younger back then. On the PlayStation 3, Lego Batman, Silent Hill Homecoming, Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway, Buzz Quiz TV, Baja, Wipeout HD, Pure, and Mega Man
Wait a second.
9.
Silent Hill comes out next week. not this week.
You can take it up with GameStop.com, not Greg Miller.
They're wrong!
PS2
Why?
has
'Cause I'm
Lego
reviewing that
Batman, Warriors of Orochi, SingStar Pop Volume 2, Dragon Ball Z Trilogy. PSP is Lego Batman and Buzz Master Quiz.
that's a lot of games. Let me see
I
this
know.
list again. What's our? We got to go for pick of the week here.
Pick of the week!
I think Pure's a pretty good choice, but for me, it's got to be
You're gonna
Wipeout.
go Wipeout, right?
Wipeout.
is my clear pick here.
Easily.
I'm sticking with Buzz Quiz
Chuck,
TV.
have you played Wipeout at any events you happen to be at with the same game there?
No, we've been stuck in a dark room with fanboys all over us for like 12 hours at a time. So
you go.
it's gonna play
That could be very dangerous.
It is.
It's unsettling after a while. You're like, wow, all right.
I love you, game.
It's like,
Have you had somebody already cosplay Isaac?
we kind of did it ourselves.
You had a guy at Comic-Con all decked out.
As a matter of fact, I did it. So
Wow.
we kicked the ball off ourselves. We spent hundreds of hours and 3 in the morning and entire weekends putting together the Isaac costume.
Nice.
So, yeah, he showed up at he's in France right now, and he'll be in Italy later in the month. And he was over in London with me earlier, and he was at Comic-Con, and he was at PAX. So
Wow. Isaac touring the world
getting
before he
around,
tours the
getting
galaxy.
the frequent flyer miles in
kind
there.
of geeking out on it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go. So I guess to recap, pick of the week is Wipeout HD. Go get that game today. Comes out today on PlayStation Store. So that's very good. Mega Man also comes out today. Very close second, I think. Pick of the week actually, because that game's pretty cool. Do we have any trophy tips this week?
Yeah, we have a ton. Remember you and me had all the Buzz stuff.
Oh yeah, all the Buzz.
So Buzz Quiz TV's out, and most of the Buzz trophies are cool enough just to be play X number of games, multiplayer, whatever, yada yada yada. But there's some nifty ones in there. But you're the greatest one. There's one that's you have to get 5,000 points, right? In a single player game.
So you get 1,000. If you get 1,000 points in a single player game, you get bronze. 3,000 gets you silver, and 5,000
Both of those are
gets you
incredibly
gold.
easy. The first two, incredibly easy.
Yeah.
I got them without trying. The gold one, it's a gold, right? Isn't it? For the 5,000 is really hard because you have to have not only when you're playing alone, it's just buzz in as fast as you can, and then however much time is left in the clock is how many points you get. So to do it, you have to have a perfect game basically, and you have to buzz in quickly. Like you
have to be really fast.
Like I had a perfect game, I didn't miss any, but there was like 2 that I sat and thought about, and I got 170 on them.
That happened to me like 4 or 5 times.
And we both got 4901.
Yeah.
However, you figured out that when the question pops up, you can hit the PlayStation button.
And it pauses the game.
And
so you get there's a slight delay between when the question comes up and when it shows you the answer and the timer starts counting down.
Yeah.
So you can see the question, hit the PlayStation button, look it up online if you don't know what it is, and then you know exactly what you're looking for right there and then hit it. It's
awesome.
It's still not very easy because you have to read very fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to have quick timing with your hand-eye coordination, but that helps a whole hell of a ton because Greg, like when the same thing when we've been playing the game, there's 1 or 2 questions you'll be kind of iffy about, and you might miss them, and even if you can get them, it takes you a second or 2, and then you lost your point. So you got to be right there.
The other one my other tip, just the tip here, is when there's a award for playing a certain number of My Buzzes, and one of them is 20, and My Buzzes are the user-created quizzes, right? And so you can create playlists online of 10 quizzes apiece. So on Saturday, the trophies went live. I was very excited. I went on and made 2 playlists of My Buzz quizzes. So I had the 20
gives you
quizzes.
80 questions per quiz. So it's 160 questions total you're answering.
Well, you used a lot of math, but yeah, 8 questions a quiz. That sounds about right. So yeah, 160 questions all Saturday morning, and I was very excited to do this to get my trophy. But when I finished up that last quiz, it didn't give me the trophy. I'm assuming it only registered it as 2 plays of My Buzz quizzes. So to do it, you have to go individually and choose.
So it's 2 sessions and not 2 individual quizzes, in essence.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there you go. Don't do what I did. Don't do the playlist trying to get that trophy. Just go through individually. Do it.
There you go. Unless you want to play a bunch of questions.
No, you should do playlists for fun. I mean,
it's good fun.
If you're trying to get that trophy, that's not gonna help you.
Yeah, somebody made a bunch of Seinfeld ones on there. It's good.
Yeah.
Put them all in queue. You got your own little scene it basically.
There you go.
Except
Very nice.
No video.
Oh.
Yeah,
You get that in multiplayer though.
Yeah. Anything else for Buzz?
Oh no, the other ones are pretty self-explanatory. I think.
Yeah. It's a fun game.
Beyond.
You should play it.
Real good.
Yeah.
Self Beyond. Wow.
On to topic of the week. As mentioned.
Wow.
As mentioned, Chuck here is in the office with us, and so we're gonna be talking some Dead Space. Chuck, why don't you get this started and explain Dead Space to people that might not have been following the game too closely?
Sure. So if you've never heard of Dead Space...
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, where have you been? Dead Space is a survival horror science fiction game set in the distant future. We are playing an everyman engineer, so he's not a loaded out space marine, right? He's like this everyday guy. He is called out to investigate the problems on the Ishimura, which is a gigantic city-sized planet cracker class vessel that's out mining an entire planet. It's gone dark. It's sent out a distress signal, and Isaac has responded. This is not terribly unusual in our universe. They're very fragile ships. Happens all the time. Not a big crew is sent. Isaac, a couple people, go fix it. And then when he gets there, he finds out that it's anything besides simple and not a broken communications array. It appears that the entire crew is dead, and they are reanimated, and they are trying to kill him. And it goes from there.
There you go. Jeff, you have played a fair bit of the game.
I have beaten the game as of 3 o'clock this morning.
There you go.
That's awesome. Can I borrow your build then?
Yes, you
Well,
can. Although
you can't start at the end. You gotta go.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a disc. I just have to watch over from my desk.
that game.
although
And I play DDR-X.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry, Greg.
Controller tonight.
But you know what? Like I will probably steal it back because I want to play through the new game plus over and over and over again. Because I've unlocked like a couple different things. I'm really looking forward to it.
Cool. So, Jeff, I'm going to let you be lead on the questions here since you've gone through them.
Right
Why don't
on.
you
Sure.
start firing them off?
I think like one of the things that not a lot of people that have been following it don't know is that you guys took a lot of inspiration from a huge number of horror and sci-fi games. I mean, just looking at the gameplay through, I was able to count things like, Event Horizon, Aliens, John Carpenter's The Thing, Night of the Living Dead, probably the Grudge or Ju-On, if you like just a number of things. So like what exactly would you say might have been like the largest influences on possibly the team's development?
Well, don't forget Japanese for tentacles. Apparently we adopted the Japanese tentacle issue thing. It's funny because if you watch Glenn and Brett talk, they talk in like horror geek shorthand. They like talk about single scenes almost out of these terribly obscure movies, and then we do the same thing with science fiction. We're like, remember that sound effect out of like episode so and so of Star Trek? So we've got a pretty wide conversational breadth of knowledge of those both genres. So most of them probably have seeped into the whole design. Like it's probably all influenced by a lot of things. And the most influence I would have to say that we've had would be maybe Alien for the emotional impact, because that's like Ripley, and very quickly all of her crew gets picked off, and she's alone, and she's all freaked out on this ship, and she's got to go through this hall, and she knows something's there going to come eat her. She's like, okay, this is not good. She's got like the flamethrower strapped across the gun. So that's probably a really good centerpiece for us, I think. And then, like you mentioned, The Thing as well, because they arrived at the same logic we did for why enemies are gross. Because if you have something really human and relatable, like you recognize an eyeball and a skull and a scalp, you're like, oh, that's really eerie when it's just a little bit off. So all of his enemies are just really gross humans, right? As opposed to like a bunch of meat that's been put onto an insect form or something,
I tell you one thing that impressed me a whole hell of a lot was I'd seen the game running at a couple events, and then when Jeff started playing the game, I saw the opening, and the opening elements of the game, I mean, it looks like a movie to me. I mean, it's very, very cool cinematically, and it has just this scope and this epicness to it that I really did not expect whatsoever from that.
Excellent.
So that, to me, was... I mean, that hooked me right there. I'm like, I got to play this game.
Awesome.
So.
We tried that, especially when we were doing like the sound design for that opening scene, because it's really, it's big cinematic. You're in that ship and you see the whole setting gets placed, and then there's that initial few ambient tones in that score that's right there. It's that really low rumble. It's a kind of that really scary, kind of discordant sound. And you're like, wow, this is not a good safe space, and that starts it off. And that's the whole game is like that, and that's my favorite like piece of music that we got in the game.
Yeah. What how did when you're designing levels based around a ship, which technically if you're on a spaceship it's just a bunch of corridors, but that doesn't necessarily
you
make...
know from experience.
Yeah, exactly.
The last spaceship I was on, these terrible corridors, I got lost.
Yeah, when I was on the Death Star. But but that doesn't necessarily make for great gameplay if you're just running down corridors. So how did you take those two bits, what would actually be for real and what would actually be fun? How did you mix those together?
We actually started with the stuff that we thought was fantastical. So we had these gigantic rooms that were like, comet catchers, and there were these huge asteroids in them, and they were huge zero-G spaces, right? And we're in there, and we're playing, and then we realized, well, these aren't quite as scary as we need to be, because you can see everything and you can see around you and things can't sneak up on you. So then we started with the more traditional spaces like what you're saying, like some corridors and the more utilitarian spaces of the ship and our crew quarters, and those became really scary because there's like lots of blind corners and they turn and twist and they're kind of eerie and they're half broken and they're dark. So we ended up with a nice pleasant mix of that, and it turned out really beneficial for pacing as well. So then you have some tight scary spaces, and then you've got these really gigantic epic spaces which are sort of awe-inspiring, and you play a little bit in those and you go back to the scary spaces. So works out well.
Cool, very good.
Yeah, and I think that part of the thing that I picked up on, which is kind of a creative twist, was you guys really focused on kind of unsettling players, especially with the monster AI. I mean, like the necromorphs, they will go through walls. They will go through grates. They will find the freakiest way to get at you and then get you. And that was one of the things that always struck me was, you might think that you're safe, and all of a sudden something comes out from behind you and you're being attacked.
Perfect.
And you don't even really expect what's going on.
It takes a while to put that together. I don't know I'd be interested to hear when you thought you first finally put together that you walk into a room and there's a group of enemies down there and they kind of disappear. Like one runs into the wall and one goes into the ceiling. You're like, well, what the hell's that all about? So you walk down there, and then you walk past a vent, and suddenly they come out of the vents around you, and it turns out they've crawled into the vents and have been coming at you where you can't see them, and the sounds you're hearing are them trundling through the the vents and stuff. And so as soon as you put that together, you're like, oh crap, I never know when they're going to come at come get me.
Yeah, totally. But considering all of that, which is a very, very ambient situation, and it adds to the tension. Like, was that one of those things that you guys always decided to do when you made the entire game relatively HUD-less, where a lot of it is holographics for either Isaac's suit or the communications between characters or other things, or was it one of those situations where you built the game and then you went, you know what, to actually ramp up the scares, we need to rip a large amount of like what you traditionally see away?
We, pretty early on, we thought we were going to have to be really immersive, and we wanted to keep you in that state of belief so that when a light flickered or a canister rolled around or you heard a clank, you would be scared. Because if you're busy watching your HUD or you're watching a cutscene, you're kind of, you're thinking about, well, I'm hungry, I want a sandwich or something else. You kind of get out of it and you don't stay in the game. So we started pulling stuff out, like you said, and we ended up with this really completely just cinematic, no HUD system, just totally in service to immersion.
Right. Now, one of the other things that I noticed, especially playing through it, is that this game is just full of gory, like, freaky moments. I mean, like, for instance, there's one section where a woman is trying to talk to a crewmate, and she's, like, mentioning, like, hey, it's okay, they're coming to rescue us, everything's going to be fine. And you think that that's okay. Except for the fact that you realize she's cradling a torso, and there's no head, there's no limbs, and
there's maggots on it.
Yeah, and you're like, what is wrong with you? And the thing is that her eyes have been ripped out of her skull, so she can't see what's going on either. So she's completely hysterical, and it's her last like dying breath, and then she pretty much like dies in front of you. And like you've got tons of these little like gory like moments, or just like psychologically twisted moments in there.
Yeah, exactly. We tried to put a lot of stuff in that made you feel that everyone on the ship had been through something really traumatic, and they were all kind of messed up as a result of that. Like, you're not going to meet anybody who's still of sound mind and body, and there are always these weird things that you said you discover after you're watching the scene. Is she petting a corpse and a torso, thinking it's her, like, her teammate who's been beheaded and is now rotting? So we've got a lot of stuff like that in the game, where you come across these scenes that make you think twice about what's going on, and you're just kind of grossed out by the whole thing.
Very cool.
What you mentioned the score before. How intertwined was the development of the score along with the gameplay, and how did this tie into the actual final product?
It was extremely. They were actually in the dailies rooms with us, like the audio guys, Don Vecca. They were in there because as we were crafting the experience, sitting in dailies, you've got all the departments in there watching it, and we're like, okay, this is dark, and this needs to be foreboding, and this needs to foreshadow what's about to happen. So they were tuning the music score as we went through almost every moment of the experience, right? So they were big energy moments were here, and large and slow build tension moments were here, and they were, crafting that as we went through the dailies, every minute of it.
How much, I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this question or not, but how much is the game set up to be a franchise of sorts? I know there's the graphic novel, some fashion of that on there. So is this going to be a bigger thing for us, or in the movie, or is this going to be sort of a one-off game, and how's that whole plan?
Well, we kind of started with a franchise. Like when we did the game, we started doing the story, and we got to put the whole story together. And we said, okay, here's the story for the game, and it's too big. We can't tell all of it in the game. So Glenn, the executive producer, said, let's go do other properties and finish telling all the story we put together. So we went and did the comic, and then we did the animated feature, and then we did the game. And so we're kind of starting out as almost a franchise. So we have essentially canon already, and we have Isaac, who only shows up at the game. And you've got other characters in the comic book, and you've got other characters in the animated feature, and all the plots and all the, and as you know, all the stuff that happens in those stories resolves in the game, at least to some extent. You understand what's going on more. But there's a whole canon of universe happening and all these plot lines going on as a function of those three stories. So we kind of birthed the whole thing at once as a franchise, it seems like.
Now, one of the things that I also noticed is that you guys have been playing this game really close to the vest, because what we've known and what we've been shown is not even like the whole story of this. I mean, there's subplots going on here, and then just like little diversions and sections that you didn't even you couldn't even come close to expecting. Can you talk a little bit about like some of those? Because I mean, I don't want to spoil anything,
Sure.
but there are a few things that you just really would not expect thrown in there.
I'm really glad to hear you say that we didn't give away too much, because we always are worried about giving away the spoilers when we're trying to give enough to show people, look, this thing, like how exciting this is going to be. And so I don't want to, so without giving away the subplots, certainly you should know that all the stuff that's talked about in the comic and the animated feature, as you know, prominently features in the game. So the red marker, plays a gigantic role in what happens. And the necromorphs themselves have got a whole story and how they came to pass. The Ishimura itself, and the religion, and the unitology, and the colony, all those things actually are main characters in the whole story. And those all start to really resolve as you get towards the end of the game, and there's several twists and surprises at the end. There's a gigantic ending that I can't talk about, where it all comes to, you get the whole sort of the whole thing put together. So I don't know if that's really what you're after. If you need a more
that's
reveals, because I don't want to get way too much.
No, that's stuff that like I found to be completely cool. And then there were just like other random little trophies, which like I know we probably can't talk about, but they're these little inclusions of things that it's like, wait a second, where the hell is that? And then you actually stumble into it, and you're like, that is one of the coolest little diversions I think I'd ever expect in a survival horror game. And it's a nice little break before you get thrown right back into just chaos.
Are you referring to like gameplay? You're talking about exploration for treasures and some of the side.
Some of it's gameplay. Some of it are the little like diversionary side things that you do during the gameplay.
So there's we tried to keep the pacing changed up. So there's a whole section where you're like having to defend the ship from an asteroid belt coming at the ship as you're going through as you're rising up out of the planet. And there's a bunch of other side quests, as far as not side quests, but some other things you can find that sort of help you your economy, sort of cash treasures, and a few other things that are collectibles as well. Yeah, and there's a couple that you have to figure out where you're going to get them, because I don't want to give this one away. I'll wait till we hit I'll wait till we're released and give the good fun one away.
Well, hold on now. Now that we have you here, you can be our first ever celebrity. Just the tip. What the trophies are in Dead Space? What are some of your? I mean, how do they get employed? I mean, are they simple as go here, do this, or are they like crazy stuff to do?
There's certainly some crazy stuff. It's a pretty even division between the ones that are traditional, like play through the game and you get it for finishing the game and playing the chapters, and then there's some that are very specific to play style, like if you use only a specific weapon or the way you kill things or the number of things that you are able to kill or how you kill them. There's a couple of fiction-based collectibles in the game that you'll see some signs around that are sort of like hinting at sort of a. I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this without giving it away.
Lifestyle on the ship.
It's like a lifestyle on the ship and like a thing everybody would use, almost not like a product, but it's this weird thing. And you're like, well, I keep seeing this on the ship. And then there's an actual achievement for if you find this thing on the ship, you're like, oh, cool. And the way we've hidden it is you can actually maybe see it at the beginning of the game, and then maybe later you have finally the ability to get to it when you cross back through a chapter. So I'll leave it at that.
Now I'm going back to my desk.
You're going to have to go and be staring around and look at the email later. What was the thing? What was the thing?
Very cool. Let's wrap up our little bit on Dead Space. So why don't you tell us when the game's coming out, what systems we're going to see it on, and your last pitch of why everybody should go out and buy this game.
Buy it immediately. Dead Space is coming out October 14th, so just a few short weeks away. We'll be on PC and PS3 and Xbox 360. And for sure, I think the reason you should go out and get it is we have got a graphical bar that is, I think, really enjoyable to sit and watch. It's a really fun romp through this huge art oeuvre that we've got. And then, of course, I think the gameplay's addictive. I still play the game, even though I've been shipping it for a year and a half now. I've been like, I still get on there and play. The gameplay is very, very addictive. And again, lots of surprises, lots of stuff that we have not revealed, lots of story to enjoy, lots of gameplay to enjoy that we haven't at all released yet. So go check it out. It's going to be a good romp.
Very cool, man. Thank you very much for coming on, telling us all about that.
Surely.
Although we
Send me
we
a
actually
copy.
have.
Jeff won't let me.
He's not going to let you get help with it.
I'll give you an hour or two. But we do actually, as kind of a tie-in with Chuck's being here, we have a Necromorph creature feature going up today, as well as a Faces of Death style video, which is it's somewhat insane. I mean,
it's pretty fun.
It's one of those things that you kind of have to see, but you'll really dig. It definitely is going to probably be age-gated though.
Yeah, a little bit. From what I've seen of the game, I think it's going to be age-gated. Yeah, so.
Want to embed that in the podcast article?
Well, yeah, sure.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Go back to IGN, go to the Podcast Beyond thing.
There you go.
And comment below it.
There you go. Let's get on to reader mail.
Reader mail!
Chain mail?
Mail call!
Mailman?
First mail comes from Brad. He says he has a PS3. He's looking for a good HD TV to match it up with for gaming. Do we have any suggestions? Thanks in advance.
Yes.
Go, Rope, go.
Greg and I both have Panasonic plasmas.
They're awesome.
Actually, all three of us do.
And Jeff just bought one,
I
too.
just bought
50,
one.
right?
50.
Huge.
He's got a 50.
Panasonic, huh?
Yeah.
Greg,
42.
Greg,
it's
and Greg and I have
beautiful.
42s.
It
I
is
got a
so
720p because I had it for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah,
I got the 1080p.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
It's
I
a big
love that
difference,
thing.
actually.
Yeah,
I upgraded recently, too.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's awesome.
What do you have?
52 Bravia.
There you
Wow.
go.
I was like, I got to go big.
For my money, I'm all about the Panasonic plasma.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and you
Oh,
can
I
get
see.
them fairly cheap,
Very cheap now.
Yeah,
Costco.
they're not that bad.
I know.
$1,700
What,
bucks.
They went from like $5,000 to like $25 all of a sudden.
Yeah,
What did that
like
happen?
like
There's
mine-
giving
The
away.
1700 one is the 50 inch, and the 42
Yeah.
is like
It's
800 or
yeah,
something.
it's under
crazy.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Like
Damn.
I almost thought about like, okay, should I actually do that, or should I save for a receiver and speakers?
Or just get 5 and just put
Yeah,
them
yeah,
up.
just
You know
like
what I mean? And array them and
array
just
up,
feel like
yeah.
you're doing something
But
futuristic.
yeah, it's just like the 50, and now
pot
I'm working
chair
on
to
the
sit in
theater
while you
system
watch.
at home.
Yeah.
the evil triangle of death.
Yes,
But Panasonic Plasma is my answer to that one. But the Bravias are also a very good choice. We got a couple of
Yes.
those in the office. Todd writes in. He says, "What's the deal with the PS3 and its lack of any good visualizers? He knows of only 3, being the flying pastels, waving lines, and Earth, and he can't seem to find anything more about this on the interwebs. He wants to listen to some music and stuff on his TV. He has a 50-inch plasma,
Hey,
and so he wants to know what the deal with those is.
I like the Earth fun.
Yeah, it's okay. So I think this might be the sort of thing where Sony just stuck them in there and was like, well, here's some if you want to do it. But, it's a gaming/movie machine. Its secondary function is Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And so the people are probably like, well, if music is the third or, 10th whatever function, they're probably like, well, we'll work on
Yeah, I don't see
getting a functional friends list.
Send
on
your
our games.
letters
Yeah.
to Sony, and maybe you can actually get them to put that into
Do
a
not
future
send them
update.
letters about that. Send them
No,
letters
it's
about being able
about
to take.
backwards compatibility.
No,
and about-
mine is a very simple request. I'm sick of having a sheep as my PSN icon. Give me
Yeah.
the ability to
New
use my
icons,
PlayStation
yes.
Eye to take a picture of myself and make it my icon.
yeah,
Yep.
we
That's all.
need new icons.
Xbox had that out of the box. It was simple. And they put 1 million up. There's only like 25 pages of only. I know that sounds like a lot,
Yeah.
but you've seen it.
But
they're
they're
all
old
like
and
Because
still.
Loco
a
Rocos.
lot of them are from the same game.
Nathan
so you're
Drake's
like, well,
face. You're like, come on,
Yeah.
man.
Ryan writes in, not Clements. He says,
I'm not. The doctor's
sorry.
office is crowded
Yeah.
today.
He says he's planning on buying Guitar Hero World Tour this October, and he's going to be playing with friends. But he knows that even with the DLC, he's going to want some more. And now that the instrument compatibility is across all systems, you can play Rock Band 2 versus with Guitar Hero stuff and vice versa, whatever. He's also going to pick up Rock Band 2, and his idea right now is that he's going to pick up Rock Band 2, the game by itself, without the bundle, and then have the Guitar World bundle, so he has all the instruments from Guitar World, and then use that with Rock Band. And he wants to know, is that going to work just fine? And is he making a good decision of buying the Guitar Hero stuff and buying just the Rock Band game? So yes, it will work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely confirmed. I have not used the Guitar Hero World Tour instruments yet, but I know from the past games I prefer the Guitar Hero
Yeah. Me too,
hardware
totally.
to the Rock Band stuff.
Although the
So-
Ion drum kit is so sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
not
you
gonna
can't
come
really tear it
Yeah,
down.
I know.
That's
I
not
know.
really,
That's part of the problem. But like, if you don't have a lot of space, like that's gonna screw you out of
The
it.
other thing too is if you're gonna be doing any music creation or even some of the other like little tricks or whatever, the Guitar Hero guitar will let you do stuff that the Rock Band guitar won't do in Guitar Hero, so it'll be worth having that. And then the Guitar Hero drums also have the extra pad,
Yeah,
which
because
will
it lets you
help
do
there
slap
also.
bass, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can like
They got
pad,
that
you
touch-
tap
pad
the
the
Touch sensor thing,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So
I say he's making a good choice. That's what I
yeah,
do.
that's actually exactly what I'm doing this year. I didn't pick up or I'm not going. It's not even out
Yeah.
yet. But anyway, Mr. Jolly says, how come we updated our website and didn't include trophy support? Are you going to be releasing a patch to fix this soon?
What?
Sony hasn't given us the SDK to include trophies in our website, unfortunately.
What?
So
Really? Because we finally got ours to get trophies in. We barely got in time.
into your website?
No, yeah, exactly. No, into the well, I guess the SDK may be different, but we were waiting for the SDK.
No, I mean we want to put them into the website.
Into the website.
So if you read enough articles, you get a
You
trophy.
get trophies.
Wait.
Put that on
For your
Oh,
PSN.
sorry. I just clicked on what he was saying. I was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? right.
Patrick writes in, and I'm going to pretty much
Nice.
read this. I'm going to read this verbatim. It's kind of
Okay.
long, but it's a pretty good story. If this is true, I don't know how true this is, but it's a good story
So
nonetheless.
you're calling pre-shenanigans on the
I'm calling
email.
I'm going iffy shenanigans. You can make up your
Iffy.
own decision, but here it is. It's a really good story regardless. He says last week he was writing an explication of John Donne's. I've never read this, but metaphysical.
Story's awesome.
It gets good. Metaphysical poetry for his English class, and I decided I wanted to make it less boring by listening to Podcast Beyond at the same time. I was right. What would have been an excruciatingly boring hour was so hugely improved by Podcast Beyond.
Beyond?
And without proofreading, here's his mistake. Without proofreading the paper, he turned it in the next day.
I know. Okay.
So always proofread your work. So he says, I went on with life as usual until a couple of days later when my class got our papers back and I got a failing grade. Astounded, I reread my paper and found that it was rife with words that made absolutely no sense. For example, the essay began, Ryan Clements' poem, A Valediction of Beyond.
Oh, Beyond!
illustrates a profound understanding of the
Chuck.
PS3 and the emotions which shaped it. So he says, at the end of the paper, my teacher had written, "See me after class." Of course, I realized that these were Freudian slips from Podcast Beyond, but I had no idea how I was going to explain this to my teacher. So at the end of class, I approached my teacher, ready to tell him some BS story about how Microsoft Word had a glitch or something. But before I even opened my mouth, he looked at me and said, "Podcast and English homework don't mix. Consider yourself floor adored."
Yes.
Oh,
Nothing,
nice.
That is
nothing
awesome.
I write here could possibly do justice to what went through my mind at that moment. Let it suffice to say that I gained a whole new respect for my teacher, and it is a story I will never forget.
Dude, big ups to this kid
Do you
and his
believe
teacher.
it?
Teacher,
This-
bringing it.
Yes,
This
that's-
sounds
No,
all-
but you know
It's
what?
possible.
Depending upon like the professor, it's possible. It's totally possible. It's
possible.
totally possible.
I'm not saying it's
I
not
went
possible.
drinking with my
You thinking
professors
no?
in college.
No,
Come
I'm
on,
well
man.
aware of how cool professors are. I'm saying who hands in a college paper without reading it ever?
Oh, I did it.
How
all
would you
freaking
not
time.
Almost
catch
everyone I've ever known.
He said his title was wrong. It had Ryan Clements in the title.
I
or the
I
first
did that
that's-
all
yeah,
the
that's how-
time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway,
Well, all right, fine. Professors should write in and tell us.
yeah,
That's
actually,
true.
that's
If
very
we could
true.
get the professor, that'd be awesome.
Yes, if this professor, which he didn't give any sort of hint as to what his name would be, if he listens to the podcast, write in and say, "Hey, I'm this guy," and here's
And
here's
this is
what it
how I
is.
floor adored him.
Yeah.
Or beyond him. Take your
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah. Steven writes in, he says, "Do you guys think that the guys at Microsoft own PS3s and play games like Uncharted and other PS3 exclusives? And do you think the people at Sony own 360s and play Halo, Gears of War, etc.?
Yes.
Obviously. If you are making games and not playing everyone else's games, then you have something incorrect.
Yeah, something weird's going to happen to your game. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're going to publish
exactly.
something that's like, what is that?
There's
yeah.
some bad karma going
We
on.
have some cutting edge stuff here
Yeah,
you've never seen
look at
before.
this.
We got a friends list.
This is all 1985.
Yeah, it's yeah. That's
Check out
like
these graphics.
Yeah.
it's like writing
3D.
books but never reading.
Yeah, pretty much. If you're not first in your competition, you're going to go down really fast, right?
Yeah.
You got to know what's going on.
Yeah. Plus you figure if you're making games, you're a gamer yourself.
Well,
so,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all we do in our spare time anyway. We make games and we go home and relax by playing
Yeah.
games.
Jared writes in, he says, "I'm very confused about the different versions of SOCOM Confrontation. Is there any way to get a Bluetooth headset without having to pay for the bonus Blu-ray disc?"
Not right now. Right now, it's bundled in with Confrontation. They're going to splinter out the headset at a later time, but that's going to be at least a month or two down the road, I believe, according to what we've heard. And to a degree, why would you not want this one? I mean, like there's so many other features that they're throwing in with this specific headset. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
even if you have multiple ones, you might as well just grab this one.
So here's what it is he might, I can't tell this. It sounds like that he wants to get SOCOM, and maybe he wants to get it as a download as opposed to the Blu-ray disc, which is fine and good. But and if that's the case, then yeah, I can understand the problem there.
Yeah.
But I mean, and from what I'm remembering, the headset by itself is gonna be $50, and
Right.
the game with the headset
It's
is 60.
So you might
So
as
you're
well
paying
just
10
grab the.
Yeah, it's $10 for the disc basically. So, yeah. Connor writes in and he says he wants to know about Little Big Planet. He's saying a friend of mine isn't very excited about the game, and his main reason is that not everyone is a game developer, and most casual gamers aren't very familiar with user-created content and won't have a good time making all this kind of stuff. So his question is, could his non-developerness, that's a word,
Wow.
deter
of
deter him from actually enjoying Little Big Planet, or is it charming and user-friendly enough to reel its audience in? I will tell you that the game will stand by itself very, very strongly as a platform without you having done any sort of creation to it whatsoever. Even if you plan on not editing anything ever, buy that game.
Although, considering that we have a developer in the room, Chuck, have you guys been looking at maybe a Dead Space Planet or Little Big Dead Space?
Putting it on a little bit. You know what? Now that we've got some time on our hands, we might have to go in and check that out. That's not a bad idea.
Huh.
The
That could be excellent.
The game is out very soon. Less than a month now.
Little necromorph
Hey, we just got the
dolls.
beta.
Necromorph sack boys?
Why is there body parts all over this Little Big Planet? This is crazy.
That brings up a point. Somebody wrote in here. I'll just answer the question without finding his question. It's in the email one. Let me see. I just want to call it his name.
Yeah.
Pencils. So he says, what are the details on your Little Big Planet beta giveaway? Did he miss it? So, a couple things to note here. Last week we said that sometime this week, hopefully at the beginning of the week, basically, we were going to have Little Big Planet codes to give away, and that you would write in and tell us the idea for the level. First off, we said, do not write in. We said, do not write in until the story was up, and we told you how to do it, and we've had tons of email.
Just nonstop.
Which means
Yeah.
that these people automatically lose.
So you obviously were not listening.
I mean, we here's what happens. We're in it already, so
Yeah.
we're canceling it now.
Yeah.
And we're just going to throw away the 5,000 beta keys.
Greg already Phantom Zoned like some
Yeah, I did Phantom
raider.
as a kid.
Okay, so now here's what's happening with the actual thing is we haven't gotten the keys from Sony yet, but last night at like 5 or 6 o'clock, we all got keys, one key apiece for the actual beta, which means Sony now has the keys that they're handing out to at least us. So I'm hoping that soon, in the next couple days at least, couple work days at least, that we'll get the keys from Sony. We can start giving out to people. So this is in progress, but not quite yet. So stay tuned for that, and do not send us any more emails
emailing
about
us.
getting in there.
And
I don't care what your level is.
These are the new instructions. Stop.
Yeah.
And on the same tip, stop sending the Resistance 2 cover votes. The contest is over. They've already chosen the cover.
And I'm
it's done.
And I'm not going to re-review Lair. Leave me alone.
Oh yeah.
See you on that one,
and Godhand still sucks.
all our hatred is coming out. Kingdom Hearts is still a good game.
Chad
Only.
writes in and he says he's saving for a PlayStation 3. I was just wondering what gig version that we suggest he should get. He says, should he wait for the 160 or should he go for the 80?
I'd wait for the 160 at this point.
I don't know, when is the 160 out? What's the date on that? Is there an official date?
Soon, I think. Yeah, is all it's
Yeah.
saying, right?
Although it really depends on what you need or what you're looking for. I mean, I just picked up a second PS3 and I got the 80 primarily as just a Blu-ray theater unit. And, if that's what you're doing it for, if that's going to be like just a theater system, but you will play games on it, then, just grab the 80. But if you were looking for doing the, serious gaming or whatever, then go ahead and get that. Although you can grab the 80 and just swap out the hard drive.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Which brings me to the point that we are putting together a video feature that's probably recording tomorrow. Should go up, I would assume, next week.
Hosted by Chris Ripper.
Hosted by me. The team should be on it unless Ryan's at the dentist still. And basically,
I'm sorry.
Actually,
just
like a dozen people came in. I said they go.
Have we gotten the drives in yet?
Yep, they came yesterday.
Yesterday.
They are tiny. I did not know how small a hard drive would be.
Yeah. So basically, what we did, we ordered a bunch of notebook drives. So in all of our systems here at work, we all have 60s. So we have each of us have one retail and one debug system. And there's 60s in all those. We're playing so many games, we have to delete stuff all the time. So we ordered a bunch of new hard drives.
Nice.
We're going to film a video segment showing you how to update or swap out the hard drive, back it up, restore it, and all that kind of stuff. So probably be recording that tomorrow. I would imagine it's going to go up early next week.
Yeah.
Or we may.
The day I requested it was for Thursday.
Yeah,
so we can
we'll probably
embed it.
time it with next week's podcast, so it'll go up at the same time. But so look forward to that. So if you guys wanted to upgrade, there you go. If you want to go ahead and order a drive so that it's ready and you can watch the instructions and do it with us, any notebook drive will do.
We got ours from Newegg.
Yeah.
Good
so we
prices.
paid what, $60 for 160s?
Yeah.
Or
it was a little bit more. The total
70?
it was like $600 on the nose. So
For all
divide that by 8.
Well, there was tax and shipping, but which makes it confusing. But I think it was either $60 or $70 for a 160 drive.
I thought it was. We'll say 65.
Yeah. So we'll say
It's a deal.
So it's not that much. Matthew writes in. He says, Beyond. Several weeks ago, I gave Greg the assignment of playing Shadow of the Colossus. Has Greg done it yet?
Well, real quick, too, I did want to touch on this because I have also gotten a lot of emails about this. If you remember, Roper asked me, had I finished Shadow of the Colossus? I said no. I've played Shadow of the Colossus, yes. No, because if you remember, too, I said it was a busy time of year, and you said, understood.
How many, when you played it the first time, how many Colossi did you get through?
I didn't get past the opening cutscene. It was a busy time of year.
That's not playing it.
That's
plugging it in.
Watching,
You get through it.
sure that it
that's
works,
watching
and
the
then that's
demo
it.
at GameStop or
That's
EB.
awesome.
That's
Yeah,
not
well,
playing.
Did you get through the training, like with the hand stuff, and you realized, this is going to be all about
the
grappling?
girl was sleeping, and he walked away and got on a horse.
didn't
I was
get on the
like,
horse or
nah,
anything
No, I'm
in
not
the
in the
whole-
mood for this right now.
No,
And then
really?
You know what? I believe Chuck just Phantom Zoned
5 years later.
He just floor-adored you.
Anyways, no, it's on top of the list after the million games that are coming out right now.
Greg's
You better get on it,
beyond.
dude. There's like tons coming out.
I know. Well,
Yeah, a couple
I'm
weeks.
not. Yes,
Get-
I'm putting
get up on that.
right now. I'm putting it on the tentative timetable of January. I'm putting it against the Shadow of Colossus.
Get a-
Well, remember, as soon as Thanksgiving hits, it's dead.
True.
So we can basically play everything.
But then I'm going to that Bears game in December.
Yeah, the
So I gotta
Bears
get-
game that lasts
there you go.
all December.
What is? How does one game impact your entire schedule?
Oh, well, I got to go to Chicago for a
go.
week. and I-
Get a little
Get drunk
get one of those little
Grab a
portable
deep
screens for your
dish
PS2
pizza
with the,
and pour-
with the battery, and then play it on the plane.
All right.
2779 writes in. He says, how many difficulty settings are there in Dead Space, and is there a Game Plus option after you beat it? Jeff answered the second part.
Yes. There is a Game Plus option after you beat it.
Yes,
and
I
it
did.
does. Yeah, and it does quite a lot of stuff. But I will throw this over to Chuck.
Yeah, you've got 3 game modes when you start. So you have easy, medium, and hard. And then once you finish the game, you unlock Impossible, which we found
Is it
to
possible?
be quite impossible. It's really, really hard. You have to really have all the tactics down or you're going to get eaten.
But it has been beaten.
I have to check with testers. You know, we usually make it so hard that we can't beat it, and one person in QA is able to beat it.
Do I have to
usually
beat
for the
that to
games.
get the platinum trophy?
No, I'll have to look at the platinum design. I don't.
All right.
Let me look.
I'm
I'll
watching
have to
you,
check and see.
Il Paisa writes in, says, since you guys have played Midnight Club Los Angeles, is there a lack of damage in the game? Because you've seen videos and they all seem that when the guy crashes, the cars stay the same. There is damage in the game. It's absolutely in there. It does not impact your driving, though, except that you can crash out, and then basically you have to go get your car refixed or whatever. But your car definitely can get messed up and all that good stuff. And that is the end of Reader Mail for the week.
Reader mail.
Mail delivered.
Mail delivered. Let's get to the closing. PSN hit of the week.
Yeah, we got a celebrity hit of the week too. Xbox's own Nate Ahern has bought a PS3 and has no friends. So you need to hit Nate in the house. NATEINHOUSE.
No,
Wait,
THE.
you left out.
Wait.
Nate in the house. Don't be retarded. Just it's spelled like you imagine. All right.
You know, that's going to be our manual. Is just going to open up and it's just going to say, "Don't be retarded," and that's all it says. And people are like, "Really?"
No, you start to give instructions. Don't be
Yeah, it just says, "Don't be retarded." You're like, what?
Something comes at you, shoot. Don't be retarded.
Speaking of retarded manuals, the PSP Lego Batman. First off, the back of the box says it's 2 discs. It's not. And then when you take the manual, out, it says blah 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 blah. For 2-player multiplayer, plug in another controller.
For PSP.
On the PSP
Yeah,
game.
they just completely
tossed the
PS2, PS3 one in there. Didn't bother.
paste.
That's some nice QA right
Yeah,
there.
That is-
yeah.
Whoops.
That was horrible editing. Although, thank you guys for making me hit of the week last week.
How did that turn out?
I got like messages from all over the world. I mean, like I'm talking Australia, Denmark, UK. Thank you to the guy that actually sent me one message that said Beyond and then included a picture of boobs.
I remember that one.
You remember that one?
was a good
It was just like a picture of boobs, and at the bottom it was like, what more do you need or something like that. And I was like, I don't know if I actually did need anything else.
You sit there
in that
stunned
message.
for 5 minutes, like, "Wow, my day's made. I've got a picture of boobs."
Pretty much.
I'm
It's
good.
just like pretty much blown up HD picture of boobs.
To restate or whatever.
Nate in the house.
Nate in the house. This PSN hit of the week.
Oh yeah, and to answer your question, Zarathos was the first demon that was attached to Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider
told you
of the
the Ghost Rider
1973
related.
comics,
Nice.
who then was separated and became a nemesis of the Spirit of Vengeance.
All right,
go.
there you go.
Massive demon.
Ryan is not here, so he cannot tell us the tournament winners from Beast.
Beast. No,
Somebody
we
won
don't know.
Canada there.
So, no, Canada was like a few weeks ago.
Fine. Antarctica.
I'm guessing Falkland Islands or Greenland or Newfoundland.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Our readers play games in the
For world
They're
domination.
basically playing a game
They
of
put-
Risk through various games. So they play Resistance or whatever they want to play.
and
And
wager
they'll-
different
But they'll play 4
land.
countries.
Wow.
It's kind of like that James Bond arcade thing, but just with different.
That's fantastic.
Different games.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
So, but we have no update for that this week. I know the answer to this one, but how's the NCAA tournament going?
Oh god.
Well, we're only more busier. Like
Yeah.
it's not getting better as far as our busy level. So it has been frozen in the Phantom Zone since last week.
Yes.
I went on to you know how we have to. I have to advance it since I'm the commissioner, and I went on there to advance it. And it's only me, Jeff, and 2 readers now. Sticks and Picks and
Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce is still there. And then they had to play each other, and they hadn't played each other yet. So I sent them each messages saying, "Have you played each other?" And then like 2 days later, they were like, "Yes, we have, but I've been too busy to advance the season." So
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm really sorry, guys. This thing's been a disaster from day one.
And Comcast again giving me more reason to rant against them. Like disabled my internet service for like a long time. So like I didn't even wind up getting it back till Sunday, and then earlier this week I got another like service outage. So I'm getting ready to just go completely like
Yeah, good luck with
nuts
that.
on Comcast.
If you go, are we allowed to rail on Comcast?
Oh, I already railed on them once before, but like because of the whole new theater setup, like I found out that with my TiVo I need to get the cable cards for to record in HD, and I'm like, okay, I need to get cable cards. So they're like, okay, so you want to kill your HD service? I'm like, no, I don't want to kill my HD service. I want you to come out and install these in my system. I'm like, okay, so you don't want your HD? No, I want that. so do you want your internet? I was like, leave my stuff alone. Just come out and deliver me the damn card.
Yeah, that's Comcastic.
Yeah, it is Comcast.
Ooh.
Oh man.
So this week we're at the end of the show here, but it's very important to note that The Office starts tonight.
Oh yeah, we're back,
nice.
baby.
Season 5. Woo! I watched the season 4 finale again on Sunday to kind of get caught up and remember all the stuff with Dwight and Michael. Yeah.
Dude, I'm just getting ready for Dexter coming out this weekend. That's going to be the
Don't
business.
try to change subject.
Hey.
Office tonight.
Yeah, Office tonight.
Stay on target.
It's an hour.
Stay on target.
Yeah, it's an hour.
So last year they did a few episodes
That were hour. Yeah, when they came back.
Do you have any idea what's the thing this
I don't know
year?
if they're doing like the first few again or what.
That would be nice.
See, I didn't hear that they were. Like, I thought that this
They
one
made
was
a big
actually
deal
a regular
about it.
one, and then
Oh.
yeah.
No, tonight's an hour long.
is it?
Yeah, they made it. I've heard that.
So then I just heard it completely wrong.
Chuck, do you watch The Office?
When I have time.
You watch Chuck?
It's TiVoed. You know what? I saw the first one, and I haven't seen him since.
There you go.
I'm like, what's that?
I saw
Oh,
part of,
right.
I guess, the
I'm
season
on
finale
TV.
a couple
Yeah.
days ago. They were replaying it, and I had never watched it before, and it's one of those things where you're lost. I'm like, I don't know what's
You can grab
happening.
him from the PSN.
Wait, he's in it. Wait,
$1.99 an episode.
so he's working in a store. I get that point, and then some dude comes in, and he's all freaked out, and I'm like, who's that guy? And then the show ends, and I'm like, well, I don't know what happened.
Right.
So
It happens a lot.
Real
Yeah.
quick too on this PSN, get your S together, because what the hell, dude? I got in between Netflix discs of The Riches, which PSN got me started on. So I'm very excited. Me and Katie were eating dinner. We're like, well, let's just download one. So I went on there, and they only had for season 1 the pilot, episode 5. And then 7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
I was like,
what's with the piecemeal?
Oh, man.
Yeah, there's like piecemeal like episodes of like episode
and
content.
I went through a bunch of the other ones too. They're all like that. There's a whole bunch of shows like that are all screwed up.
There are only a few
good.
Come on.
a few shows that are like actual full seasons, and otherwise you're just kind of like picking and choosing out of whatever the deal is. I don't even know
There must
why.
be having inventory problems. People must be holding on to those.
Well, you'd think, but I mean, supposedly they keep updating it every Friday, and every Friday it's stuff, and you're going like, okay, 5, 10, 15 movies. Couple TV shows, and even the couple TV shows, it's like we added episode 3. It's like, well, why don't you add the entire damn season? And and along with that, why don't you just make a season download pass?
Yes,
don't give me
they
this
totally need to do
this like $2 nickel and dime crap. Give me like $15, download the entire season, and I'm done.
yeah.
I do that.
Plus, it makes it easier. You don't have to go and manually download the stuff. You hit one button, get all the episodes.
Grab all of them.
There you go. That brings us to the end of the show.
We're trying to get out of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's song time. Obviously, this is in, memorandum of The Office coming out tonight, so you don't forget. Remember, send reader mail to Beyond at
Beyond
IG.
at-
Beyond.
All right.
Thank you, Chuck, for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thank
you
you guys
very
for
much.
having us.
Do, 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 ding, ding, do, do, do. Dwight is cool. It is the freaking Office, and it's back, and there's no writer strike. Dwight is cool. Maybe he'll break up Angela and Andy. Who knows? Do, 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 do. Jim and Pam. Oh, what happened with them? Do, 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 do. If they break up, I'm gonna get really mad. Do, 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 do. Mike and Jane, she is pregnant. Do, 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 do. It's not his kid, and the new HR lady likes him, and she's kind of cool. Maybe they'll get together. Do, 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 do.
See you guys next week.
I need that for every show I've ever watched. I need that kind of a summary.
Exactly.
Beyond.
Beyond.